Hey, this is Mike. I want to welcome you to another episode of the Halftime Mike podcast. Every week, we want to take a halftime break, dive into online social media marketing tips, tactics, and methods for you as an owner and marketer. Actionable items you can implement right away. This week, I am so pleased. I'm joined by social media strategist, YouTuber, broadcaster, Sunny Lenarduzzi. You got to help me with that. I just butchered your last name.
It's Lenarduzzi. Lenarduzzi. It's okay. You're not the only person to do that.
Uh, Lenarduzzi. I was practicing it and I got tongue tied. All right, there we go.
That's okay.
Welcome, Sunny.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
All right, I'm totally thrilled to have you here. I mean, you've been on Hootsuite Social Update, Breakfast Television, Edmonton and Vancouver, Huffington Post contributor regularly, and what you also social trends report on Rogers radio stations. Is that correct?
Yes, they do. Yeah, all across Canada. Every weekend I'm on a few times a day. So I'm sure people are fairly sick of me at this point.
Excellent, excellent. Okay. So, I mean, I'm just pleased you're here to share what you do, the latest developments in digital space, and particularly I'm interested in kind of diving into your YouTube channel just because that's a wealth of information there. So, can we start there? You ready to go?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
All right. So, obviously, I mean, YouTube and video have just grown tremendously over the past couple of years, and particularly now, just things happening online. It seems like video is coming to the forefront. Tell me how you got started with your YouTube channel and kind of what you try to focus on there.
Well, it's funny. My YouTube channel has been around, I don't know, for a while now. And I started it back when I was in broadcasting school and just sort of played with it as a platform, but didn't really take it too seriously until I would say probably in the last year. It's been kind of my main focus. So my background is in broadcasting, and it's a passion of mine. And another passion of mine is coaching and helping people build their own brands and build their businesses through social media and digital marketing and video marketing particularly. So I kept getting the same questions over and over again from my clients that I work with and coach. And I thought to myself, it'd be really nice if there was a resource online where, I could just sort of provide tutorials and information on these common questions that keep coming up. And there's lots of other people out there who do some amazing tutorials, especially on YouTube. But I just wanted to do it my own way, and it's something that I really enjoy creating and producing every week. And that's basically how it started with these weekly videos. And then I also in the last year, I've been really fortunate to travel to some really cool places. And so I took that opportunity to do some filming while I was on location and create travel vlogs out of it. And really for me, it's born out of just a passion of communicating with people, educating people, and being creative. I love creating content, and this allows me to do it. And also YouTube's just become a really great community of people for me to connect with. And I feel really fortunate that people are actually watching the tutorials every week and getting some really great feedback from them.
Yeah, and you're covering a lot of things. I mean, I just, like you said, some of your travel things with Thailand, I want to talk about that a little bit, but you've also got Instagram, Snapchat. I mean, you're kind of covering some of the, leading edge ones and as well some of the new developments in, existing tools that have been there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's really important because it's a funny thing in social media, and I feel like it can be very, very overwhelming. So my goal with everything that I put out is to kind of simplify the process and also make people aware that you don't have to be on everything. I'm not on everything. However, if it's video centric, then yes, it's a platform I'm going to be on because I know that my strengths lie in being on video and communicating through video as opposed to I'm not a long form blogger. I'm not a writer. That's not where my strength lies. So I prefer those platforms. So yes, I'm definitely an avid Snapchatter, and I like Periscope and YouTube for sure, and
All right.
Twitter. So yeah.
Okay. Now let's dive a little bit. You mentioned some of your clients, and I don't know if you can speak about any of them by name or just by concept, but what's a video problem you help solve for them, and what's maybe one specific one or what's common that you get, and how do you help them then?
I think, well, a really common one is actually just the fear of being on camera, and the fear of looking stupid. And it's a funny thing, it's kind of a double-edged sword, because I find with video, it's the fastest and most effective way to establish yourself as an expert and as a thought leader in your space, because there's no hiding when you're on video. There's not a lot of editing that you can do. I mean, you can, but you're
if you butcher up your guest's last name, I mean, it's there. It's just what it is, right?
It's just there. It's just there. Yeah, exactly. So you can't hide. Can't hide your knowledge, and you're going to get found out pretty quickly if you're not being totally truthful about what you know. So I find that that's probably one of the most common fears, is that people don't want to look stupid on camera, which is silly, because a camera is just an object. If you're talking to someone in real life, you don't have that fear of looking stupid. So you shouldn't have that fear of being on camera, because it's just like talking to another person. But another one I find is the technical aspect is very daunting for people, and it really doesn't have to be. I have a tutorial on YouTube about the cameras that I use, and the camera that I'm using actually right now with you is a webcam. It was about $150, I believe. So it doesn't have to be complicated to get started in it, and I think those are the two most common issues I find people have.
Okay. All right. Excellent. Now, you mentioned Periscope already. So obviously the live streaming, and I'm seeing more and more of that. But again, I'm in that tech social media arena, and I know that big brands are typically early adopters of that. So what are you seeing with live streaming? Is it still kind of at that big brand stage, or are you starting to see some changes there?
You know what? I've actually kind of noticed that it's a little bit reversed with live streaming, where yes, there are big brands using it, but I think because of the transparency that comes with video, and especially live streaming, because there truly in this instance is no editing, it's a little bit of there's a fear factor involved for big brands, because they have to be very cautious, and because of the real-time engagement, they know that they're going to get thrown questions that maybe they can't answer on the spot and have to go through a process to answer within their company. And so I find that smaller brands, entrepreneurs, authors, musicians, individual solopreneurs are thriving on Periscope. And it's a platform that I absolutely love, because I don't really have to censor anything. I don't have to check with anybody about the content that I'm putting out. It just allows me to communicate with my audience in real time. And there's a great factor to live streaming that is immediate attention. And that's the same thing for Snapchat. People know that content's not going to live forever. So it grabs them right off the bat and draws them into your live stream. And for brands and for entrepreneurs, that's invaluable.
Okay. It's that whole thing of it's not going to live forever. I mean, that seems to be a new trend. I mean, Snapchat kind of started that. Now you're seeing with live streaming. So, is that emerging, or, I mean, what do you think about that?
I think it's definitely emerging. I think it's kind of proves the sad state of our society at this point, that our attention spans are not the best. And also we want instant gratification, and we want to be able to communicate with people, and not just be talked to, but talked with, and have our questions answered. And the whole thing with social media is the idea of celebrity has gone away entirely, because now those celebrities and influencers now are accessible. And so this just adds another layer of accessibility. You would never see, Michael Jackson or Michael Jordan doing this in that day and age, because this technology didn't exist. And so that idea of celebrity is so different now, and you're expected to cultivate your community, harvest your community, give back, add value, and live streaming allows you to do that.
Okay, yeah. Now, I got to come back to this Thailand thing then. So that was I watched that video, and I mean, your journey along with that. I mean, I love kind of found the different locations and things like that. So maybe, a little bit of how the idea came about, and then what did you do to kind of put that together? What was all involved?
It's funny. It just sort of is second nature for me, to create that kind of content, and I love doing it. So there was not a lot of thinking to the process when I put the video together. I just knew that I had my equipment with me, which I really take it everywhere, to be honest. And whenever I'm traveling, I have it. And so I had my GoPro and my Canon PowerShot 330HS and a few other cameras with me, and I just capture things along the way. But the funny thing is people tend to think that I'm constantly capturing things and not living in the moment. And I was very strategic when I was in Thailand, and I took a lot of time to not be doing any of that and to be completely disconnected. But when I saw something valuable to capture and kind of had a little bit of a roadmap in my head of what I wanted the story to look like at the end, that allowed me to film for the appropriate amount of time and not constantly attached to my camera. Then when I came home, I wrote a little paper edit script of it, edited it all together, and then put it on YouTube.
Okay. What do you say to that company, the small business entrepreneur who's a little bit scared of that editing part?
Yeah, editing can be a big hurdle for sure. That's probably the third biggest question that I get. I think with editing too, keep it simple. I often am asked, okay, so what kind of software should I invest in for editing? And the reality is, if you have a Mac, you have iMovie, and I use iMovie. I've also used higher end editing software for more complex projects, but for my weekly tutorials, I use iMovie. Keep it really, really simple. I have a tutorial on YouTube, and I have a video editing cheat sheet that people can go and download. But yeah, I think that's the biggest key is use what you have and keep the cut simple. You don't need to have crazy transitions. And I think the biggest hurdle as well is you shoot all of this footage and then you go, okay, now how am I supposed to put this together? But what you can do to combat that confusion is before you even shoot anything, have a rough shot list, have a rough script that you want to follow, and then that makes the editing process much easier when you come back to the footage after it's shot.
Yeah, I like the rough shot list particularly. I think I'm guilty of that, not thinking through that ahead of time. So that's a key list. By the way, to the audience and as well, I'm going to make sure I have your links in here, so we'll be able to get to those items you reference here afterwards in the show notes. So that's wonderful.
Perfect.
Got all those tools. Okay, so let's switch again and talk about Facebook video versus YouTube video. Okay, so over the past year, I would say Facebook video has really climbed in momentum. Again, Facebook seems to weight strongly their videos and their algorithms, so their videos are showing more in the news feed. People want that. But what do you see happening there? Is Facebook video going to overtake YouTube video as a player, or what's happening? Your expertise, please.
I think it's a big player for sure. It's definitely rivaling YouTube a little bit, but I hesitate to even say that because I don't think it's one or the other. That's not the case with YouTube and Facebook. And how I explain it is Google owns YouTube. Google is the #1 search engine in the world. So Google's not going to have Facebook videos showing up in search, and 60% of all views on YouTube are search driven. So that's not going away anytime soon. People are still going to YouTube to look things up. However, on Facebook, the immediate gratification and the immediate virality that you get from the videos on Facebook is impressive for sure, because Facebook wants you and is forcing you to digest video content. And they've made it the #1 performing piece of content on the platform. So I use Facebook to actually promote YouTube videos and little workarounds that you can do because you're going to get lots of eyeballs on them. However, the analytics on Facebook video are not nearly as robust as the analytics are on YouTube. And the reality is Facebook is, in my opinion, I don't think it's going after and trying to kill YouTube. They have taken over some of the functionalities, like they've added a watch later button to the videos on YouTube. They're also ad revenue sharing now on Facebook. But I think what they're going after is ad revenue at the end of the day. So they want advertisers to invest in Facebook video, and it's happening, but YouTube's still going to reign supreme for search.
Yeah, okay, just different because you're watching Facebook videos, but you're on Facebook. That's where it's happening.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, so I think to remember is that YouTube is sort of a slow, steady pace for your views and your traffic. It's a constant traffic source because it's constantly searching for. So if you are doing things to rank your videos, then you're constantly showing up in search in perpetuity, and then you're driving traffic to your website or to your email list through those YouTube videos. For Facebook, that's not the case.
Gotcha. All right. Now let's go to live streaming again. Periscope and Meerkat. Okay, maybe for the audience, just a little bit of the differences, and then you see happening with each of them going forward.
Well, I think Meerkat really unveiled, which is a game. I'm a huge fan of Periscope, and I've tried both. I tend to lean towards Periscope, but again, just like Facebook and YouTube, I don't see it being an either or. I think they both have their own values that they pull. And with Periscope, what I really like about that platform is the immediate sentiment that you can see from your audience with the hearts and never-ending hearts that people can add, and the real-time feedback, obviously, which you get on Meerkat as well. But I find the functionality and the interface and it was a lot easier, and the integration with Twitter obviously is hugely beneficial because you have that built-in audience. Whereas on Meerkat, their integration with Facebook was just updated and improved a lot. So you don't even need to have a Twitter account to sign into Meerkat now. So that's really important to know and gives them an added value as well. And then the Cameo feature, which allows you to not just broadcast at people, but to broadcast with people. So if you're not familiar with the Cameo feature, basically, if you start a broadcast, you can invite your audience or a person in your audience to jump in on video and live stream as part of your broadcast for up to 60 seconds. So that's really an amazing tool because it's adding a whole other layer of community and integration with your audience.
Yeah, no, it's I haven't really checked that one out yet, but I that sounds like a winner, just to explore a little bit for sure. Okay. All right, now let's switch to another one, more common. They've been around for a while: Instagram video and Vine.
Yes.
Okay. And again, I'll anticipate that you'll say great for different audiences or whatever, but
can you tell I'm very politically correct
here? Yeah. All right. Well, we'll dive into those. What do you see happening? What do you like about each of those? And what are the uniquenesses that can appeal different brands or different uses?
Well, it's funny, to be honest. Like before, I'm not on every platform, and I have a Vine account, but I don't think I've ever actually used it. And it's purely for the reason that I didn't really see a need for it. And I totally recognize that there's Vine superstars and influencers and content creators, and I think that's great. But from a brand perspective, if you look at the numbers alone, there's 40 million active users on Vine as opposed to 300 million active users on Instagram. And as far as performance goes, because Facebook owns Instagram, the performance on other platforms is much higher. So and the lifespan's a lot longer. So with Vine, it's integrated with Twitter, but the lifespan of a tweet is maybe a couple of minutes. So you're not sure how many people are actually seeing that content. Whereas on Facebook, because they've really reinforced video, and video is now their highest performing kind of content, if you're sharing your Instagram videos on Facebook, you're seeing even higher engagement than you were before on an entirely different platform. So if I were to choose between those two, it's Instagram video all day.
Gotcha. All right. Now, let's see. I'm guessing that obviously YouTube is important to you just because of your channel and the way you're communicating with your audience. What do you do, though, on a daily basis? What's a go-to where you're spending the most time?
I would say Twitter. I mean, YouTube, I'm on every day. Those are kind of my two main platforms that I focus on the most. Like I said, the community has just been unbelievable, a completely different kind of a community than any platform that I've experienced. And the feedback and the conversations that I'm having there are just so incredible. So every day I go in and I comment on other people's videos and look for different kinds of content. And then I also, am in my community and writing back to people and responding as quickly as I can. Whereas on Twitter, that's an everyday, all day experience for me. I have the most amazing community of people on Twitter, and I love it. I love talking to them. I love that people send me content I think I'd be interested in, and I get my news there. And yeah, I love Twitter.
Okay. I think just that comment there, I that's such a growing trend is how we get from social media. I think that's really coming. I mean, I know I'm there. For me, it's a lot from Facebook though as well, but news.
Totally. Yeah, it's interesting. That trend is definitely. I just saw an article, I think it was last week, about the fact that, Facebook's now being referred to as kind of like the old network. But teenagers are still active on it, and one of the main uses that they look for is for curating news stories. So yeah, it's very interesting to see how the trend is changing, how we consume our news information.
Right. Yeah. Now, one thing I found interesting, is to me, unless I'm missing something, like you have a one-page website. Okay.
Oh, whopping one pages.
Yeah. You know, now I'm a web guy. You know, we build sites, that kind of thing. So I'm just like I'm amazed at this, but I think it fits. I mean, so you're just sending everybody to YouTube, basically. Is that kind of the idea?
Yeah, I mean a little bit. It's I used to have a full website with multiple pages, but I just found, I'm more active on my social platforms. I totally see the value in a website, and that is coming eventually. I'm working on the content in the back end for that right now, but it's not something that's going to be in the immediate future because I don't totally see a need for it. So yeah, right now it's just the one page, and people can sign up for my my email list through that, and I send out free tips and tutorials every week through that. So that's really my way of communicating with my audience.
Yeah, so that's the way you're getting information out and letting them know about your next video and that type of piece there as well. Of course, they can subscribe to your channel.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. All right. So as we wind down here, I mean, Thailand was great. So I got to ask, is there another travel video coming up? You have something on the horizon you're planning?
Well, I've done Thailand and I've done Portland recently. I'm headed to Cape Cod very soon to actually visit Sue Zimmerman, the Instagram.
Yes.
Yes. So I think I'll probably do a little bit of filming there. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I might do some mini vlogs and a lot of periscoping. I think so. So yeah, people can expect that from me for sure.
All right. Excellent. Excellent. Well, Sonia, I want to thank you for being with me here today and just talking about some of this video stuff that's happening out there. And I'm just glad my audience could get introduced to you because we can find you online, obviously, and with all your your clips, your YouTube channel, the different pieces there. I found a lot of value in that. Warm, sunny personality and disposition. I'm sure you've had that before come your way.
Sometimes. It's always a compliment, though.
Yeah, very good. All right, so I want to thank you for being with me, and to my audience, I'm going to include information, the links that we talked about, links to some of particular Sonny's videos that are going to be of value here, video editing, all those pieces there. So thanks again, Sonny, for being with me here in Halftime Mike Podcast.
Thank you so much.
All right, folks, that's a wrap for today. This is Mike with the Halftime Mike Podcast. Hey, it's all about taking away that 1, 2 key pieces of information, implementing them right away. So what is your doable next step, something that you heard today that's important to you that you need to implement? Think about that, mark it down, go do it. All right, take care. See you, folks.